Hi, my name is Brad. I'm a drummer, songwriter, and audio engineer, and today I'm going to quickly show you how to phase align your recordings as well as check the polarity. I do this for each new session. We have plenty of drums to phase align. I just changed up my kit recently, went from a 4-piece to an 11-piece. So anyway, what I like to do is hit each drum individually and then play a short groove using all of the drums, and then yeah, I'll show you how to phase align and then check the polarity. So we'll jump into the DAW after I do this little quick deal here. Let's jump into the DAW and do some phase aligning. All right, so we're in the DAW here, and let's go over what we're looking at. So this is overhead left, overhead right, kick, kick 2, snare, the left floor tom, concert 1, concert tom 2, tom 1, tom 2, tom 3 should be labeled floor tom 1. Floor tom 2 and floor tom 3, even though they're mislabeled. So what we're really concerned about here are the overheads and the snare. So we're going to align the snare drum to the overheads, but first we're going to make sure that the overheads are phase aligned with each other. As you can see, they are off a little bit. If you look here, let me raise the, so you can really see. So you can see that this is overhead left and there's overhead right. So a little bit off. And by little bit, I mean probably way less than a millisecond. So, but I still like to line them up. So let's do that. And I'm just gonna nudge it over a little bit here. Looking good, done. Now I'm gonna align the snare with that, with the overheads. Looks like the snare drum needs to come down, and wow, it's way up there. All right, never mind that. So that is now phase aligned. So phase being time. So when things actually arrive. So if this is overhead left and this is overhead right, you can see that they're a little bit off. The phase wasn't lined up. So that's phase. When we're talking about polarity, that's polarity right there. So this would be positive, this would be negative. So if it was doing that, all good. If it's doing that, bad. So that's going to cancel out. So that's polarity. This is phase. So anyway, now that you know that, let's move on to the tom. Or what are we hitting next? I think it's the concert tom. So now that we've aligned the snare drum to the overheads, we no longer have to worry about the overheads. They are going to be off. Every drum is going to arrive at the overheads at a different time, meaning the left and right are going to pick it up differently, and it's going to give you that depth. You don't want to do this every single for every single drum. You want to do it just to the snare drum. Period. Done. You don't have to think about it anymore. But what you do have to do is line up the drum that you are phase aligning to the overheads to the very first transient. So in this case, you can see that it's overhead left because it's right here. That means it's first in line. So you want to go find the next drum, which is the concert tom that we're working on right now. And that's the concert tom right here. And you want to line that up with the first transient in the overheads. So the reason you do that is because if you line it up with this one right here, that means that there's going to be a little mush going on, and it doesn't really translate. It doesn't give you that transient that you're looking for. You want that impact. So instead of just mush, that's no good. So now that is lined up. So now we go on to the next drum. That would be the second concert tom. Come on, there we go. Okay, let's go find the other concert tom here, concert tom 2, and done. And go to concert tom, or tom 1. It's about there. Excellent. Tom 2. Next, tom 3. Actually, I'm glad I'm doing this with the big kit, so repetition, you know, see the process over and over and over again, so it gets ingrained. That's the one thing I do not like about big kits. This process right here, because I do it for every single take. If it's a bad take, I don't do this. I just, you know, redo the take. But yeah, let's see. There we go. And if you're wondering why I keep on going up to this little chain here, it's because if I leave it on and then I go down here to find this and drag it over, my line disappears. So that's why I do that. If anybody knows a workaround in Luna to make that easier, then please let me know in the comments. This is my workaround for that particular issue. Okay. I started using Luna. I went from Studio One to Luna when I got into the Apollo thing. I have 2 Apollo X8Ps, and I got the Apollo just when they were about to release Luna. And so I patiently waited. I think it was about 2 weeks. It was kind of a torture. And when it came out, I was pretty excited about it. Still am. And they've made so many updates. Man, it seems like they just keep on coming with the updates. It's a great DAW. Really like it. Okay, we are kick. And the last kick here. Oops. Here we go. And phase aligned. All right, so now I like to check the polarity. Actually, let's get these back to 0. Oops. All right, here we go. All right, so let's check polarity. So the way I like to check polarity is put everything in mono. And I'll do it here. Put everything in mono. And I don't like to have any plugins running when I'm checking this. All right, so we've got overhead left, overhead right. Actually, I'm going to bring everything to 0 as well. Okay, now overhead left and overhead right. I'll solo those out along with the snare drum because that's what we're checking. So, and let's get a loop going. And right here, I'm going to flip the polarity. See how that got thin? So that one's perfect as is. Then we're going to move on to the concert tom 1 and check that. So this is that hit. That's subtle, but I think it's best as is without flipping the polarity. Let's check that one more time. Okay, let's go on to concert tom 2. Yep, all good there. Tom 1. Another subtle one, but I feel like it sounded best. Let's do that one more time. Way more tone without flipping the polarity. So let's go on to tom 2. That's a big difference. I think I need to retune that particular drum. Sounded a little flat to me. Beautiful. Moving on to the 16. Hopefully you're hearing the difference here, because I certainly am. So far, nothing needs to be flipped. 18. Yeah, that's a big difference. And then I have the next floor tom all the way over here. Okay. Next, bass drums. Now my room is semi-treated, meaning that it's not professionally treated. I just have some of the walls treated to basically take down some of the high frequencies from bouncing around. So sometimes low end is hard for me to hear in this particular room. That's why I like to mix with headphones and those room simulator deals. I have the Chris Lord Algae, the one from Waves, forgot what it was called, CLNX or something like that. Anyway, I use that when it comes time for mixing for real, but I use it as a reference usually. I know the room well enough to where it's like, okay, I know that my low end is wonky. So anyway, I digress. Let's check the bass drum. See, it's kind of interesting because sometimes I'll prefer one or the other. It doesn't, you know, if I'm working with something and the mix is just, you know, saying that you need to flip the polarity on that particular drum. In this case, I'm going to leave it without flipping it, even though it sounded a little... Yeah, I prefer it with as it is without flipping the polarity. But like I said, when I'm mixing, sometimes I'll flip the polarity and all of a sudden it becomes like perfect for what I'm working on. So don't go by this has to be this way because it sounds best without, you know, the other instruments. Just work with, you know, your own ears on things and let that guide you. Now let's check the 24. That's even more low end. Now that's pretty obvious that it sounds, to my ear, it sounds best without flipping the polarity. So with doing all of the phase aligning, it looks like I don't need to do anything with flipping any of the polarity. Polarities. Anyway, so now let's get back to the panning here. I'm going to go hard left and right, and I always pan, well, not always, but 99% of the time, I pan drummer's perspective. Concert toms, I just give a little bit of that action right there. Tom 1 over here, tom 2 about there. This is actually a floor tom, and about there. And let's give a listen to this groove here. Okay, that's it. That's how to phase align and check for polarity issues. That's it. That's all I've got. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, please leave a comment, and I'll see you next time. All right, see ya.